Create a new setup for caliper and soft jaws. After completing this video, you'll be able to create a new cam setup for Op2, select fixture and model in setup, and locate work coordinate system relative to soft jaws. In this video, you can carry on with your own models from when you created the soft jaws, or you can upload the supplied dataset Precision Modeling Caliper Front Op2 Setup.f3z. This will bring in the program for soft jaws and for Op1 as well as the caliper model. What we want to do now is we want to create an Op2 that is going to make use of the stock that was used in the first machining operation. But we also need to place the caliper inside of the soft jaws and reference that for our coordinate system. To get started, we're going to navigate back to the design workspace, and we want to make sure that we are showing the vise with the caliper in place, but we need to make sure that we have the correct soft jaw visible. So let's go ahead and navigate into the soft jaw. Now, this could have been done with either using a copied body or a copied component. So if you copied the component, you simply need to hide one of the components that was moved and show the other. If this was done with bodies, then you simply need to go into the bodies folder and show the in position body and hide the one to be machined. Again, there are many different ways that you can do this, and the workflow that you come up with really is going to be tailored to how you receive models if they're modeled in Fusion 360 and how you decide to set them up for machining. So multiple ways for us to do this, but simply need to make sure that we are showing the caliper model in the correct orientation, the vise with the soft jaws, and then move back into our manufacturing workspace. At this point, we're going to begin by creating a new setup. Note that Op1 was active and our new setup is going to be coming down below Op1. We need to make sure first that we select the appropriate body. So we're going to expand our models, expand the Precision Modeling Caliper, expand the Bodies folder, and select Caliper Front. Then in the fixtures, we want to make sure that we select the appropriate fixtures. We're going to hide the original vise, and we're going to show the vise in its secondary position. For this example, I'm going to carry on showing all of the various components, but note that when I change the visibility of each of these components, it's not selecting them as my fixture. So I need to make sure that I manually show and select each component that I need. I'm going to make sure that I am showing the component in position, and then select each component that we want to reference as part of our fixture. This can be done in the browser, or it can be done on the screen. So if you don't want to include all of the hardware, for example, you can select just the pieces or portions of the vise that are important to you. Once we have those selected, we need to go over to our stock and make sure that we are going from preceding setup, and we're going to continue rest machining. This will better help us identify all of the remaining stock from Op1. Inside of our setup, now we need to make sure our coordinate system is in the correct orientation by selecting Z and X. Once again, this can be done by selecting edges on our model or by using the default coordinate system, for example, by selecting Y. We need to flip Z so that it's pointing up, and then we need to select a point, in this case the selected point on the corner of our soft jaw. Remember that these points are going to be referenced for the coordinate system when machining our part. Anytime we flip a part over and there's remaining stock, it's never a good idea for us to reference that remaining stock, as it could be different sizes based on how the stock was prepared. Making sure that we're machining from a specific reference, in this case the soft jaw that's holding our part. Next, we need to go to our post-process settings, and we need to define the program number as well as the comment and the WCS offset. For this, we want to make sure that we're using 10200 for our program number, and then we're going to do Op2 Caliper Front. Our WCS offset in this instance is going to be 2, which represents G55 on our Haas NextGen control. The reason that we're using a WCS offset of 2 is just in case we want to machine with 2 positions at the machine, to do a version of Op1 at the same time as a version of Op2. This can help speed things along when producing multiple parts along the same batch. So in this case, make sure that we're using 2 for our WCS offset. Now, because we're using from preceding setup, we can see the stock on the screen, but note that we do have some extra bodies visible, and we want to make sure that we rename this setup. So let's go ahead and minimize some of these various options in the browser, and let's rename Setup 3 to be Op2. We also want to make sure that we are only showing the components that are important. So inside of our precision machining, we're going to go into our soft draw component and make sure that we are hiding the to be machined. We're going to minimize this, make sure that we're in a good position, right click, and create an associated named view. This means that every time we activate our Op2, it should bring us back and show those components. Now, one of the reasons that we're continually getting that secondary or that in position and to be machined version of the softjaw is during the setup, I selected the component rather than the specific body. If we right click and we edit this and we go to our fixture selection, if we expand the components and instead of selecting the entire softjaw, we only select the body that is in position and say OK, we should be able to get rid of that secondary or that moved component by hiding it. And then right click and reassociate or update our named view. So in this case, if we select new named view, it's going to create a new version of that. But if we expand the named views folder, go to Op2 and we update it, this should be able to update the version of it. So if we go to Op1 and back to Op2, we no longer see that secondary version of the softjaw. I know it's a roundabout way to do this, and sometimes you have to create some extra clicks and steps, but keep in mind that the way in which we copy bodies and components, the way we select them, and the way we structure this is going to have a downstream effect. So if you do have problems, just double check your selections in your setup. You can always go back, update associated views, you can edit your setup and make sure that everything is efficient and working for you. Now that we have this set up, let's make sure that we do save this before we move on to the next step.